Hi,
Exciting.
Nicole.
True. I'm both like excited and nervous about this because I have no idea where it's gonna go. But
Yeah, I'm a little bit excited. I'm not very nervous.
really, oh,
I don't know where it's gonna go either. But we have, there's a few things we could talk about. Obviously, we have Twitter in common. We both have TBI, or traumatic brain injury concussion history,
oh yeah.
which is challenging. Um, but yeah, I'm curious about your business. Like what it is that like what are your goals or what's your vision for your project there?
I feel like for me that's such a loaded question
Hmm.
because I have like a long. Do you want the long story or the short story? Because I don't think I can do it really simply.
I'll take the long story.
All right. So it took me a while. I had like some conversations with like entrepreneurs because I'm like, I think I'm lost. I think I'm going in circles and I can't, I can't tell, find my way through like the mess. And to be honest, after maybe about 10 different conversations, I realized I technically already started a business when I was trying to get out of homelessness.
Hmm.
And it's funny because when I quit my job actually last December and I've been trying to follow like other people's methods because I thought maybe their approach would be better than mine because I don't have that much experience. At
Hmm.
least I think so. And I realized I was completely minimizing literally every skill I had acquired prior. And I've honestly just been in circles the last year. I think tried 4 different businesses. Which in hindsight, I'm trying to find like a positive way to say it, but like in reality, I was doing things I know I shouldn't be doing. So when you talk about like business and where I should be and what my goals are, to be honest, I'm not sure I have anything so concrete right now because it wasn't until last week that I realized for myself that I forgot how to also enjoy myself. So I have a few
Hmm.
things. Which one's going to work? I don't know. I'm doing helping with pitch decks for a tech company cohort.
Oh, cool.
um, Trying to figure out how to start a business with my passion project, which is trying to help people network. Because originally it was belief systems, but I
Yeah.
realized if you say belief systems, people think religion. It's like, no,
Yep.
I want to work in your mind. So I'm trying to figure that out. And then outside of that, I'm also going back to my roots, which was in social media strategy. So I'm in multiple areas right now. At this point, I'm just trying to find something where I can actually feel like I'm helping someone.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. It sounds like you're really passionate about helping people find their network and to be connected.
yeah, but for me, it's my only yes and no, which sounds like a complicated answer. To be honest, my only mission, honestly, is to like help people figure out or realize that they're more capable and have more abilities than they're aware of.
Hmm.
Networking just felt like the most natural approach only because the only thing people repetitively told me was that you're really good at getting people to help you. And I'm like, I don't
Mm.
know how I'm a mess. Is that
Yeah.
yeah. So
Well, I'm not agreeing. I'm just saying that, like, you seem like you're a fun person to help. Um, yeah, that's interesting. My experience was similar, and that's why I was gone for so long. Is because I found myself in a process where I wasn't using my gifts. I wasn't acknowledging myself. I was trying to push myself into other people's systems, right? And I think that learning the system can be helpful, but you have to use the systems. And when you let the systems use you, it cuts off too much of what makes you unique and just turns you into a clone, right? Like, and then it feels really inhibiting and it feels like you're not actually getting the connection that you want because the way that you're expressing yourself is artificial in that way. It's kind of like riding a bike with training wheels is artificial. Like you're not riding the bike's holding you up, right? You kind of need it to get to the point where you figure out how it feels and how it drives, and then I think you can take the wheels off and make the systems work for you. So I think that's a normal process.
I have a lot of questions right there.
Okay.
But before we get there, just to make sure we're on the same page, what do you mean by the system?
So I'm talking about like, you got to post this many times a day. You got to use these formats. You got to send this many DMs to these people. And it just feels like it's so forced.
Gosh, I'm so happy you said that. Sorry, I'm already teary. I actually got kind of distant the last 3, maybe 4 months. I mean, every once in a while I'll post because I was realizing the whole conversation, though, depending on why you're using the platform, right? Some people want to build brands, some people want to promote their business, some people just want to enjoy other people. But I feel like there's a whole conversation on terms of, I hate to use this word, but authenticity, on how to be yourself and be genuine. And everywhere I'm looking, for me and on my feed, it felt like it was a how to 5 ways to, and it's like, where is conversation? Where are people who just genuinely want to connect with somebody else? Because that was the foundation of why I chose X or Twitter, was because there's people who want to build businesses, when in my life I have no one to connect with. And it's like, I can learn and build friends, but it didn't seem like that was what people were looking for. I mean, one of the biggest things today that I'm seeing is their content is being taken over by AI, all of their responses and comments. And so, there's people talking about how they have the same comment in underneath their content now, or when you look on DMs, no one, it is a copy paste, or there's people like, have you been on a Zoom call and you're bonding with someone only to see at the end that they're trying to see you as a prospect, or they're trying to sell you? And it boggles my mind that what I would think would be the most simple thing for us to do, which is to connect with other people and be social, is completely void on the platform.
That's it sounds like that's what you want. Like, that's the need that you see, right? And I agree, because I felt the same way. I was thinking about that in the spring after being on for a few months, and I was thinking about like, I need to be more authentic, but I feel like I have these layers in between myself and my expression that's kind of suppressing me, and that's keeping me from being able to do. It's like you go to the BMX park and you're trying to do jumps, but these training wheels are hitting the bars and like, you can't turn fast enough, and it's like these damn training wheels. So I think like being able to shed that and giving yourself permission to play and to fall off the bike and to, get a little dirty and let people see you struggle, like that's a big part of it, right? Because people are coming in and everyone wants to be an authority, right? But you can't have authority without authenticity, because authority is a product of trust in a relationship, and authenticity is the ingredient that grows that relationship.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Everyone's trying to jump to the result, right? Without the relational process.
Well, let me ask you this though. So when you came on the platform, because I want to know what your journey looks like. I don't want to project. When you came on trying to figure out how to approach yourself on this platform, what were your first steps?
How to approach myself. Can you rephrase the question? I'd like to be more specific about what you're asking. What do you mean by how do you approach yourself on the platform?
Yeah, of course. So when you're creating content, actually, how do I say this in a way that's not like all over the place? I'm curious, when you decided you're going to open your X account and you're going to create content, what was that process like? And I don't mean copywriting skills and brand, but when you decided I'm going to, and we all enter this initial void of no one's listening, what was your plan to get out of it? Your approach?
Well, my goal, the goal that I had was to write a book, and that's changed. It's still there, but it's very much in the background. And I came in through like Dan Coe's program, right? And copy Twitter. So yeah, so all the people I was running into kind of were it's still there. It's still all over Twitter where, you know, I'm a coach, I'm going to coach you as a coach to coach your coaches, right? To
Yeah.
coach people to 3K a month. And it's like, this isn't even a very exciting pyramid scheme. The 3K a month is like, like why not 10K? I don't know. But so that's kind of where you come in, and where I came in. And I really wanted to offer people perspective. I felt like I had a unique perspective, and I felt like my perspective had value, but I had trouble with figuring out how to connect what I'd gotten out of developing my point of view through all the worldviews I've crashed through in my life, to where my life got a lot better. But conveying that was really hard for me. And so I kind of flailed around, and then I got some coaching, and then did the Twitter growth cohort, and slowly met some people. And that's been the most interesting part about coming back, because at the time I was just grinding, just trying to pump out words, right?
Yeah.
And be present on the platform. But there was a few people that I met or bumped into or saw or whatever that kind of stood out in a way.
Yeah.
And I've had the benefit of having some, yeah, a couple ongoing relationships from that, and some people that I've been able to reconnect with since coming back. And that's really what's most interesting at this point. Like my follower count, like I don't care at the moment. If I get a notification that someone followed my account, I'm like, oh, that's nice, right? And I'll
Yeah.
look at their profile and be like, can I connect with this person? I'm not sure. Like, it looks like maybe there's not that much, I don't know, like something's not resonating or whatever, but I'm not trying to force it. Like in the spring I would have been DMing I'm just like, it's chill. Like if I see you around, you know. But I really want to focus on this. Like this is what I'm interested in, is having conversations like this. And this to me is where the authenticity can come through, right?
Yeah.
It's much more natural for me in dialogue and on video than it is typing into the void. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I relate to that more than you even know.
I think it's common. I think other people feel it, right? But like when you see them on Twitter, you see these training wheels, like you see this shell,
Yeah.
right? And there's someone behind there who's struggling, who's pushing, and who wants to look like an authority, right? And so it comes off like forceful or external in a way. It's not like the internal coming out. It's like this external thing that's built around them, that this is their brand, right? This is my contrived essence. It's like my artificial intelligence. But it's like, but there's sometimes like sometimes we crack that shell, and then we see the squishy soft person that's inside, and that's the person that you really want to like you
The
want to
human?
know, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's funny
yeah.
you say that. Just so you know, the reason I was really trying to ask that question is because I wanted to know if if somewhere in like your journey, you know, if you notice you are slowly like kind of funneling out yourself in some of your content. Um, because although I'm intrigued that you came in from Danco, but that's a whole different conversation. But like when I came on the platform, I started researching big creators
Mm-hmm.
and trying to figure out how they wrote and how they approached it, and realized over time I was no longer even in the equation. I had
Mm.
people who had no idea who I was. Tried to come out as authority, and I slowly realized I don't even like people who come off as an authority. Not at all. And I feel
Yeah.
like it's easier. But there's a difference between when you're looking at some accounts that are just speaking from experience. And
Hmm.
when you talk about like the shell, I'm gonna try to say this without sounding like I can't tell if I'm sounding preachy, but there's one guy specifically that came to mind. I love the guy. He's a great creator. But what I realized is he made a shift a few months ago where now his account comes off as I'm a know-it-all. I'm so great. Here's all the cool things I'm doing, and I realize sometimes we create these personas because honestly, that's not a persona I want to talk to. If I saw that first, I would have never responded to him. But then you get him on a call and he's warm and he's sweet. And it's like, how do you bridge that gap? And I guess the bigger question was, where do we decide or get the belief that we need to be something other than what we are naturally and what
Hmm.
we enjoy and how to have connections that actually feel natural to us versus the whole, the cold DMs and let me see if I can't figure out a way to get something out of you. Like, I'm curious on where this stems from. Maybe this is more philosophy. What is it called? Philosophy? I get speech impediment.
Yeah, it is philosophical. I think about this kind of stuff a lot. So, like it has to do with like I think that has to do with need versus purpose. It has to do with something that is in the world that is necessary for your life versus your life being expressed, right? It's
That's interesting.
yeah, because you're sending something out, but it's all about hooking somebody to retain them, to be
Yeah.
able to integrate them into yourself, right? Like these people want to eat, right?
Yeah.
But really, the way that you eat is that you share food, right? So you take something substantial and nourishing that is in you and you just give it to someone. And I think that relates to what I think you're looking for is that some people are really looking for students and some people are really looking for a crowd. But I think that the kind of connection that you're talking about is more horizontal. It's more of a,
Interesting.
yeah, like more of a partnership
Yeah.
than a client,
Exactly.
right? Because like if you're above them and you're just dictating and you're forcing your pattern onto someone else, then it's like, how is their pattern informing you? And then how are you really connected? Right?
I never thought of it that way, actually.
Yeah, yeah,
That's exactly what it is.
yeah.
You know.
And I think that it sounds like what your project is to foster and create that for other people as well, right? To
Oh,
build
this is
part,
recorded. I need this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. To build partnerships, right? What do you think
Yeah.
of that?
I actually love that. I was actually trying to figure out how to approach that because if I said I was battling using the word network,
Mm-hmm.
people have all kinds of thoughts of that word. But the way that you phrased it, no, I love that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what it is. But specifically for people who don't want to manipulate, though, because that's a whole. It's so easy that way.
Mm-hmm.
I might have spent too much time in DC. Not to bash.
No, no, but it's very political.
It's very who you know, it's what can I get out, it's the concept, not just DC though, but the what I'm used to is the concept of let's do a little investigation on these people enough to make it sound like I know who they are and like I have genuine interest,
Mm-hmm.
and then try to capitalize on that as using approach of connection or under the
Mm-hmm.
guise of connection,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is
Yeah, yeah,
it's a
yeah. It's people as leverage, right?
yeah.
So there's all kinds of forms of leverage, but labor, like a follower count, is kind of like a labor force in a way, because they're out there sharing your words, so they're distributing your words, right? So they're kind
Yeah.
of like employees that send your words to their followers, and that's political. Like the polity is, you know the arrangement of authority in a social structure, and like who's the boss, who's the one who's leveraging the other people. Everybody wants to get their hands on power, and power is the ability to make other people do things they wouldn't otherwise do. Right. And so I think that when we think about networking, we think about something like that. It is an opportunity. Like, a network holds data, and if you join the network, you can access the data resources, right? Whatever those
Yeah.
are. But so people want to access the resources in your network. They want to access the nodes. They want to redistribute their information through your nodes. And it's kind of this, it's cold. There's a coldness in the word network.
Yeah.
It's artificial and structural. And I think it also like includes room for that hierarchy, right? Where you have the central node and then the other nodes, and it's the one that's dictating the message and the tone. And I think the word partnership resolves a lot of those conflicts. I don't know.
No, actually, I think it does. Although
Yeah.
I'm trying hard not to go on a tangent.
You're allowed to.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I like the concept of partner. And it's funny you're saying that because I think, how long has it been? I think it was 5 months ago. I'm not good with time. We'll say 5 months. I think spaces just became popular.
Mm.
And I went on one specifically for, two entrepreneurs talking about how they got success. And I hopped on. I'm scared. I'm not a good talker usually. And I was like, I'm going in circles and I'm sabotaging myself. And I don't know if you've been here as a beginner. Can you help me figure out, how to stop that or how to be more aware of it? Because I'm not sure if I even am. Because I look back, 2 months ago, I'm in the same spot. I look back 5 months, it's like I'm not moving. And they didn't even answer my question. They found
Oh.
like a really nice way to avoid it and then said, did you help? And instead of trying to start a debate on a space about you didn't answer, I was like, okay. I tried to be vulnerable. I tried to ask for help. You didn't want to help me. Maybe you don't have the answer. Now it makes me second guess whether or not you have a business. Like, I'm confused, or if you want to be vulnerable. And the funniest thing happened. I got a DM from someone on the space. And he's like, I saw you. I also have self-sabotage. Do you want to talk? And like a normal person. At the time, I thought big accounts, those are the people with businesses. Small accounts don't have businesses. Total lie. But that was my idea at the time. So I looked at his page. It's like, oh, he's not a real person. He doesn't even write content. He doesn't really, his link looks kind of sketch. I don't know. And it turned out the guy who was sharing my problem, he actually helps people makes 6, 7, 1, 8-figure businesses. He helps those people. Like, he actually has it. He works 30 minutes a day. I'm like, I don't know how you do it. And it was the concept of being able to relate to someone. Like, how do you have my problems? Like, how do we both have self-sabotage? I'm at the very beginning, no idea what I'm doing. I don't even have my first dollar. You're helping people make bank. And I'm like, how are we ever like, how are we ever going to connect? I have nothing to offer. And I said that maybe because we ended up doing Zoom calls weekly. And I would repetitively say, I don't know what you're getting out of this. You're helping me so much. I'm not sure if I have anything to give you. I don't know how to help. I feel like I'm just taking. And sorry, I might get slightly emotional. It helped me to realize, he said, you do. You offer questions and perspective from a different point of view that helps me look at my own problems in a new way. Um, which really stuck to me, the concept that people can be on completely different levels, but still find areas to connect. We're all humans with problems, and we have something to offer, which I think a lot of people are missing in themselves, and think when they're coming on the platform or trying to start anything, thinking that they don't have enough. And it's like, how do that's kind of like the idea that I want to tackle with people, like, we're all capable. And it's not one of those motivational speeches to make you feel good about yourself, but the reality that our life experiences is what I think is our unique advantage. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, that's what I think is so beautiful about, networking or partnerships and building people. to see that you can connect with all kinds of people.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting slightly emotional, but I think that's powerful, and I just wish more people attempted to speak to individuals that they're inspired by, that helps them, because you never know what kind of connection can build from that.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a really good example of what works for you, right? Of what your process should look like. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
apologize.
I don't mind at all. Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful. The it's so cool how because I have a need, I expect other people to share the same need,
Yeah,
right? And because I value what meets my need, it's interesting that I'll project that evaluation onto other people. But they're valuing something different, right? And it's the complementary values that allows the partnership to work, right? Like
exactly.
if the person was a copy of you and they needed exactly what you needed, like I mean, there's a point at which maybe two heads aren't better than one, right? So it's really discovering complementary needs, and
Exactly.
that implies complementary value, right? That's so it's so cool like that, and I think that it partly is a matter of perspective too, because you could say, oh, this person's ahead of me or this person's behind me or whatever, but even in a teacher client relationship, right? The client still has something the teacher needs, or they wouldn't be in the relationship,
Exactly.
right? It's just they don't need what the client needs, but the client has something the teacher needs, and so they're still, if as long as the relationship is complementary, it's not exploitative and manipulative,
Yeah,
then it can be construed as a partnership, right?
I love that. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, yeah.
Although, to be honest, I would add like one thing to that about people you genuinely like, which is another degree that I'm realizing is not popular. Sorry, I don't on this platform. Yeah, slight tangent. I don't know if you were here for this, but there are some people who were saying follow specific big accounts that have the audience you want to work with, right?
Hmm.
And comment, engage with them, and you get seen. But maybe I'm projecting my own thing, because that was one of the first bits of knowledge I got on the platform, and I started following people. It's like, okay, let's be strategic. Then I realized I don't even like these people.
Oh no.
Um, we talk on the same things, but I would not be friends with this guy if it worked out. It would be a struggle, trying to connect and maintain this.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, am I the only one? The concept of going with people, not even for them, because now when I think back to that, I'm thinking this isn't even a person. You were just like, to me, in my head, I was like, you're just a neck that I could step on to get to where I need to be.
Oh wow.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
But I realized there's a girl named, oh my gosh, her name just left my head. Susan, there we go. A girl named Susan who said, her whole approach on the platform is she looks at X like a texting app, and she's texting her friends, people she likes, and it's easy and simple. You don't have to think about it, because these are people you're already bonding with and you enjoy. And I was like, wait, that's possible? We can
That
just talk to people we like,
that's great framing.
right? And
Yeah.
it's so simple. But
Yeah.
sorry, it's just now I only talk to people I genuinely like, and it makes the platform so much easier.
Oh yeah.
You get to geek out, and it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like a chore, which it was.
100%. Totally agree with that. When I came back, I did a purge of my following because I was going through my feed and I'm like, this is not interesting to me. And there's people that I like that I unfollowed just because their message or their topic is just not connecting.
Yeah.
And I want stuff in my feed that is drawing the best out of me,
Yes.
right? I don't want stuff in my feed that I can use like a tool, right, to
Yeah.
externalize my process and build this artificial shell. Like I want something in my feed that's going to provoke me and like give me the opportunity to express myself. But texting friends is great framing. Like if you think of every time you write a tweet, you're like, oh, this is a text to so-and-so. It
Exactly.
helps so much. Yeah. Yeah. Cause I do it. Like the way I tweet, like, looks like, bah! It's like, this is both vague and rude. It's like, okay, whatever, dude. But, I'm, I'm, it's something that's in my head that I need to practice more is writing in that manner, like the way that I would actually talk to someone. Cause the way that I tweet, like, it's often not something I would ever say in a conversation, like, right? So, yeah, but I think that's part of falling off too, and accepting that, and not compensating by becoming even more artificial. But it is really challenging to get those layers out of the way, right? And to expose yourself like that. But yeah,
Oh,
there's something else I wanted to say about that when you were talking about targeting big accounts, because I'm familiar with that advice, and it's something that I've done. And there are some larger accounts where I have actually offered something useful, and that's been positive. But there's a concept of growth that's kind of being overlooked. So I think everybody wants to become fruitful. Like if we all like go plant ourselves on X, like little seeds in a garden, we want to become the plant with all the fruit on it, right? So we
yeah.
go and we find a plant with all the fruit on it and like try to attach to it. But there's a word for that. It's called parasite, right? It's like, I'm going to sneak in here and enter this other body and absorb its nutrients.
That is perfect. Yes.
So it's like you can go over and drop something off, and that's fine, but you have your own little tree. You're trying to grow and express real value, something that like the food that you have to share. You're not trying to go to someone else's table, grab something off it and give it to your friend like, hey, I found this for you. So people really overlook the relational and the partnership journey that is necessary to develop a real social presence, right?
Yeah.
Like a real social presence, not a social media presence. And so that's one of the reasons that I've asked you to talk, right? Because I'm like, oh, like I see Nichole around, like we've been through some similar things, we have some similar context, right? So we can relate, and like Nichole's very responsive and engaging, so I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll ask her if she wants to have a conversation, right? Because now we're two little saplings, and it's like pollinating each other, right? And like
Yeah.
helping each other become more fruitful, and that I think is how the garden grows. We need to fulfill the relationships that are available in the level we're at. And when we conduct those relationships properly, and they develop to their fullness, the next level of growth naturally becomes available. But you don't want to get to a level of growth where you have all this responsibility and all this life depending on your fruitfulness that you haven't earned. And it turns out that you're a hollow tree and you're just a shell with decorations on it because
Yeah.
you're not being authentic, because you haven't gone through a real relational process to develop that context. So we really need to accept and be grateful for the connections that are available and just work on fulfilling those. And then more connections become available, and just keep fulfilling those connections in the level you're at until you naturally grow as a result of it, and the relationships develop and you become of service in those relationships. More opportunities come, and that's the approach that I'm trying to take right now. I want to make an offer available to people and then just engage in the process that I'm offering, which is this.
Yeah.
And then if people want that, then I'll do more of that, and eventually maybe someone will start paying me for it, right? But it's like, but the goal of like this conversation isn't to pitch you and be like, let's make a decision. Like, look at this big apple. It's like, did you grow that apple? It's like, wow, I have it. So, you know what I mean? Like,
No, I do. To be
yeah.
honest, maybe this is TMI, but the last 4 days I've been really depressed.
Mm.
I haven't really done much. To be honest, I I haven't been doing my I do like regularly 4:30 a.m.s. I woke up today at 9:30 from a
Mm.
phone call. I was probably gonna sleep later. And to be honest, the reason I got up today was because this call. I was like, oh my god, okay, I get to talk to Andrew. I actually like you, so I was
Oh,
like,
thank you.
I'm like I'm excited about this, and it's funny because as you're talking about like this concept of growing with someone, you are. I'm not trying to inflate ego, but this touch point is what I desperately needed myself. Because making these connections for me isn't just a strategic business move, right? It's also these are people I actually want in my life. These are connections that I need that also fulfill me. And from my depressive, I'm not getting out of bed thing, I was like, now I'm on a call with you. I'm already energized. You're helping me have perspective and where I want to go business specific. And you're fueling me and you don't even know it. You were just there. Like, this is what I want to do. I'm gonna connect, on your own mission. And in your own mission, you're helping somebody else. Um, so honestly, I'm so excited and pumped already on this call because, sometimes you need a little bit of the
Hmm.
boost from someone
Yeah.
else. Doesn't come from a quote or someone saying it's hard, push through. It's like, yeah, that's great, but when you're in it and you're struggling,
Hmm.
you need more than that and something more supple when your own head isn't working for you. So like
Yeah.
this is powerful.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, 100% agree. You really need. Is there a better word than partnership?
Right? I don't
Right?
know.
Maybe, but because it has to do with an authentic relationship, right?
Yeah.
It has to do with complementary value.
Yeah.
It has to do with um a goal,
Yeah.
like a mission, right? So my offer is what you just said, right? So what I want to do is hear people's situation,
Yeah.
help someone describe their own situation to build a common understanding, and then introduce a point of view that reveals options for that person. So that's what I do. That's what I'm going to do. That's my business.
I want to say I love that, but that it feels like so small. So let me make sure I get this right. Your thing is to, and I'm speaking more from the listener's point of view, right? It's
Yeah,
to help
yeah.
them realize what their circumstances, or at least admit it to themselves what's going on, right? And then offer other perspectives so that they can look at the problem in a new way. Is that correct?
Yeah, the reframing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, Andrew. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that. Sorry. You're I love that mostly from the lens of you're not trying to give people a framework or the strategy on how to do something. I will talk so long on that. So I'm gonna try not to. Because if
That's not
not,
my role. Yeah, it's not
yeah,
my role to provide answers. It's just my role to trigger insight in another person so they can recognize their situation in a new way. So the consequence of that is that they discover an opportunity they didn't know they had, right?
yes.
That allows them to develop a new form of leverage. And when they exercise that leverage, it creates an impact in their relationships. And
Yes.
and then that cycle feeds itself and their life just is fulfilled. That's the goal.
Oh my gosh, dude, I'm pumped for that. No clue. Mostly because I truly believe when you're able to create a new way of thinking for someone, it also changes their behaviors and they're able to pick a path that aligns with who they want to be. And it
Hmm.
starts working on their subconscious and they're not even fully aware of what's happening. But
Hmm.
to see that they're actually pushing towards their goal in a new way,
Hmm. Yeah. As
It's
long as the person has a bit of drive.
yeah.
Anytime that you change a perspective, you always change the opportunities. You can't avoid that, but the person has to take the opportunity themselves. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um,
Yeah. But yeah, this is so cool. So is there anything else you want to talk about? Or
honestly,
do you want to explore something some more, or sorry, I interrupted you.
oh no, you're fine. I'm good anyway because I realized we haven't talked about TBIs. Although to be honest, when you sent me that thread of yours, I don't know if maybe I think I might just be overly emotional. I might just cry too much because I cried. I was like, oh my god, here's someone. You were the first person that I spoke to who had a TBI and was offering a perspective, of what you've been through. And so I read it, then I sent it to my mother. I was like, "Mom, we need to read this together." Like, I'm
Yeah.
reading this together. I was like, can we talk? And I don't think I've met anyone else who I could relate to, only because I met two other people who had TBIs. But again, TBIs represent, or sorry, not represent, the symptoms are different for other people. Some are short lived, some are, long. I'm now getting to the 2 year mark, and they didn't understand, from my point of view, of how I'm struggling. Um, which you would think, same problem, we'd relate, but no. So to be honest, your content was a saving grace for me. Because no one else seems to understand what it's like, especially when you're trying to build something while you're also trying to heal, and having the grace to know the difference and
Hmm.
be at peace of mind and knowing that you really have some limitations right now, or maybe that's a mindset thing, but to know that in some areas you can't push, you have
Mm.
to. I don't.
Pushing looks different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
if you're open for that, I don't know how much time we have left, but
Yeah, we could talk about that a bit for sure. I would say that the common element with any TBI or concussion or brain injury
yeah.
is that there is a disruption of, now see if you can find a better way to say this.
Okay.
There's a disruption of your human capacity.
I see what you're saying. The best way that I had it for myself was just that oh crap, I feel like I just lost it. It's almost as if you don't have, for me, I don't have the freedom to access the parts of myself that I did before. It was as if I am limited by my own body, but it is no longer stuck to just what I think I'm capable of, but what my body will physically allow. Um, I feel imprisoned.
Right.
Like,
I'm trying to write this down right now.
yeah, of
You said
course.
I don't have the freedom to access what?
Well, honestly, to access my body or mind, you know,
Yeah, or mine in the way that I did before.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is like you said about getting emotional. I found this podcast. Oh, I can't remember what it was called, but I linked it in that thread. Um, where the host was a concussion survivor, and she'd had a series of major concussions and suffered badly. And she had guests on, and the guests were all concussion survivors, and they talked about the the experience that they'd had and how they coped and what kind of recovery methods they'd used and the degree of success that they had in that and what that journey was like overall.
Yeah.
So I like hearing those stories made me feel like a human again, because I felt like my experience was so disconnected from everyone around me that they could not relate. And if you can't relate, then you don't have a relationship.
Yeah.
So it becomes very lonely, right? And it's a very small, very limiting world that you find yourself in when you know that you have this ability to live, right?
Yeah.
That you were created with, but that now is behind a locked door, right? So for me, that was very much there was some mental symptoms, but the major symptoms for me were physical. Became very physically limited, and I still am to a degree, but I'm improving. I no longer think of myself as having a concussion. I think of myself as getting stronger every day, and that has really helped.
I might use that. Actually, I will use that. I need that.
Yeah, that's been a powerful perspective for me, right? Because I'm at a certain level, but I'm taking actions, right? And I'm using whatever services, whatever products, whatever methods, and I'm seeing improvement. And the improvement doesn't have to be major. The improvement can just be doing the act of self-care is enough improvement to count as progress. As long as you're caring about and for yourself, right?
Yeah.
That's getting stronger. So that's what I'm trying to do. And that's been very helpful. And I think I think there's a connection between the mind and the body, and the way that we think about ourselves can inhibit what our body can do. And since I've started thinking about myself that way, like my symptoms have continued to improve after kind of plateauing for a while.
It's funny you say that. So there's this guy. I don't know why I can see faces, but I can't see names. I think his last name is Fathe. If you're interested, I'll send it to you later. But his story was he had a lung collapse. He has kids, two kids, little small kids, and if I have this correctly, he actually had to no, yep, his lung collapse and either had to be pulled out or something. Like he had some needed surgery, and this guy didn't. And in my head, I was thinking, I may not be a parent, but the concept of having kids, not getting surgery, how do you live? You have a wife, you're the provider. It's like that is a lot of stress. And not getting the surgery, it's like, I don't know how you do that. I'd be on panic mode. But he decided I'm not going to. I'm gonna, figure out the mental component of how to solve myself and got a mentor who actually was, I think he's mindset and body. But the point of the story was he completely had a recovery without the surgery, just doing mental pieces and then figuring out how to work out. I'm like, collapsed lung, you're working out. Like this feels like this isn't a real story. Like this is insane. I don't
Yeah.
know. But the concept of just how strong our minds are, because he's full recovered and he did a 48 miles and 48-hour run, recorded it all, and I'm like, I'm in awe of how that works. I might need some more help though, because maybe my mind isn't where it needs to be there, because I think I'm limiting myself in my own recovery, which is a whole other thing, right? You can be good in one area and not another, right? It's insane what our mind is capable of doing, especially when it needs to be tested for something as severe and important as our health.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when you're talking about that, I'm like, oh my god, give me some tidbits because in theory that sounds great, but how do you
Yeah.
shift it in your head?
It's simply that thought. Just repeating that thought to myself is what I did. Like anytime I thought, oh, I'm going to have a headache, or I'm going to be in pain, or I can't do this, I would. So it's mindfulness is a tool,
Yeah,
right? In order to make any mental shift, you need to be able to pilot your mind rather than a passenger. So mindfulness is a necessary tool to develop in order to pilot your mind. I don't think it's the be all end all,
okay.
right? I think mindfulness is just simply a tool. It's just like weights in the gym are a tool to
Yeah,
pilot your body, right? So, but to be able to notice the negative self belief of I am fragile, right?
yeah,
I'm not totally fragile is the first challenge, right? I'm fragile, and it's like, I'm not totally fragile. Fragile is not everything that I am, right?
Yeah.
Because it can't be, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to sit or stand or move or do anything. I would collapse. I would shatter if all it was fragility, right? So there's some durability. There's some durability. So I'm fragile. I'm not totally fragile. There's some durability, right?
Yeah.
That means I'm durable, right?
Yeah.
I am. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to be alive. I'm durable to some degree. And as long as I feed that wolf will become stronger, and the fragile wolf will become weaker, right? So noticing the fragile, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessary to reject it or fight it, right? We don't grow by overcoming by resistance. We overcome by progress. And so rather than reject the fragility, all we have to do is accept the durability. And then we have a positive framework, and positive frameworks grow. So,
Sorry, I'm as you're saying that, I'm thinking a little over some of the thoughts and patterns I have in my own head. That was against the concept of durability and how progressive and of a norm it's become over the last few months. Um, Even in like some conversations, right? Because another thing, TBI, you got lots of doctors, and how I speak to them. I actually had one. So at the time, I'm all about mindset, and mindset in terms of like my health was gone to a point where my neurologist was like, you need to look at this from a positive lens. You need to work on being more positive. And I won't lie. At first, I was like, "What do you mean?
yeah.
I am the positive, not positive. I don't like the word positive. Like I'm the mindset person. I'm all about how to be better. What do you mean? I need to be more positive. And then I was like, oh crap, she's right. I'm. I got defensive, and I'm learning defensiveness is a whole other bag of denial. Um. But
This
no,
is yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead, finish your thought.
No, it's just I never looked at it that way, and I need that in my life. I really do. The
Yeah, me
concept
too.
of stability.
Me too, 100%. That switch has been so powerful for me. And it's given me access, and it's that accepting durability, right? Accepting the fragility as well. Like, it's real. Like, there's a limitation on what I can do, but I can do. Everyone has a limitation on what they can do.
Yeah.
That's okay. But everyone has a responsibility to do, right?
Yeah.
So we have some ability to respond to what is in our environment, right? And if we don't, our environment's going to dictate us. And the thing about doctors is doctors are great, right? They help with mechanical, chemical problems, but the the solution does not live in the external,
Yeah.
right? There's a relationship between the internal and the external, and if the internal is not fit to partner with the external, then that relationship is not going to be productive, right?
Yeah.
To bring it back.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna need to listen to this recording a couple times. Where are you posting it? I don't even know where it's going.
So I'll send you the access. So this app, should we sign off now? And then
Oh, up
we
to
can,
you. Up to
and then
you.
we can talk about this after the recording stops?
Yeah, sounds good
All
to me.
right. Okay. Thank you everyone for listening. Probably just the one that's here now. We have been Andrew and Nichole, and this has been great, super fun. So if you want to talk, message us, and yeah, we'll talk to you because we're on X, and
Well,
and the DMs are open. but
bye.
but don't use a copy paste.
Oh gosh. Oh.